Welcome back to Switch to Linux. Man, we got a fun doozy today. We remember to jump everybody on in here and unmute everybody if I can find out where you're at. So I got the computer up completely charged. I'm still getting a little bit of fluctuating. I think that's actually where I'm at, though. I don't think I have the absolute best bandwidth right now, but hopefully it should be fine. Maybe I should record this too, just in case. I don't know if I want to do that, though. I don't know if I want to stress out the server or not. But anyway, we do have a very fun discussion today. This kind of started in over on the Matrix server. So if you're not over there on the Matrix server, join us over there. And somebody jumped in and started doing but did it start with a link it was a few days ago. Did it start with just a link to an article, or what was it? Anybody remember? And it was just like asking the basics, like, do you really think we should, or it was more of a trying to, I'm going to ask you a question that I want you to answer it the way I want you to answer it, but really the answer is the way nobody actually wants it answered. And the question basically boiled down to is, should open source software licenses carry with it restrictions about who can use it for what reasons? In other words, do we need to embed code of conducts into it? So if you're trying to use our software for what we determine is hate, you should not be able to use our software. That's really what was at the question of the article. And I looked at it, and I forget exactly what my response was, but it was something to the effect of, we need to focus specifically on utilizing the software in any way we can, because that's how a free world works. And the only limitations that we should have is if we actually do something objectively wrong, then law enforcement should come and deal with us appropriately. But to say, well, we're going to release this software under a GPL license, but you can't use it because you think in hate. And the problem is, what in the world is the definition of hate? And so that's really what we are going to talk about today. Before we get into our guests, you will notice I'm wearing my hoodie today. And the reason I'm wearing my hoodie is this one is way back when the code of conduct stuff started to pollute Linux. Right around the time this story starts, around 2018 or so, I created this merch shirt, and this is RMRF, No Preserve Root Contributor Code of Conduct. And you can actually find that over on our merch shop. So if you are interested in it, I'll have to find it down here, but it's beyond all of the aliens. There you go. Here's the RMRF Linux Code of Conduct. I have it on t-shirts and on hats and a bunch of other stuff. Yeah, I think our internet is a little slow, but this is the hoodie that I'm wearing right here. So
if you supply a code of conduct for it, it doesn't really make it free and open source anymore.
Yeah, here's a better one. RMRF No Preserve Root September 2018 Code of Conduct. And it turns out, as I dug into our topic for today, that's exactly when all this stuff's happened. So let me tell you, the end story that just came out yesterday is that the main Debian developer, technically maintainer now because he was demoted due to wrongthink, the guy who does all of the KDE implementations, LaTeX, Cinnamon, 20 other packages, a lot of OBS stuff, all that stuff for Debian testing, Debian stable, just left the program because of wrongthink. And so we're going to dig into all of that and why this is causing Debian to self-destruct. Would anybody like to jump in before we get into our actual topic here?
Yeah, I remember. Before we go into the topic,
go ahead.
So my initial, I saw that you posted or someone posted this, and then I read the article. And if you don't read the entire article, it's easy to come to the conclusion that the person who wrote the article, who sparked this initial discussion today or yesterday, depending on the time zone, it's easy to come to the conclusion that the writer is, yes, we should have ethical clauses in our software. But at the very end of the article, it's a lengthy article, and at the very end, his conclusion is that they are incompatible with the free software licensing.
Correct. Just a notice for the guests: don't use that live chat because those chats pop up on the screen, and I'm not don't have time to read them. So yeah, and this is the in theory to say yes, we need to have an ethical code of conduct so that we can come together and at least have some basic. I agree in principle. The problem is we can't agree with what that basic code of conduct is, because I say, okay, I don't want any of the, I don't want to see people jumping on mailing lists spewing forth a whole bunch of hate. The problem is the things we're talking about and the things that are called hate and transphobic and hateful and Nazi are not. And that's the point. And so let's go ahead and start by talking about what is the Debian Code of Conduct. Now, this here is version 1, ratified April 28th, 2014. And as the words are written, there is nothing wrong with this Debian Code of Conduct. So, number 1, being respectful. In a project the size of Debian, inevitably there will be people with whom you may disagree or find difficult to cooperate. Accept that, but even so, remain respectful. Disagreement is no excuse for poor behavior or personal attacks, and a community in which people feel threatened is not a healthy community. This is the one that everybody on the side of hate is actually violating. You can't even get in the room with somebody whom you have a philosophical disagreement on the basics of gender. And that's the biggest problem that we have in what's going on. So my prediction is this code of conduct will probably change as more and more people who have bought into this ideology infiltrate into the system itself. Assuming good faith. This is also what this group does not do. They do not assume that when I jump out and say something and I go against my 40 years of life and training that if you have every anatomical appearance of being a male, he is the proper pronoun, and then you throw a hissy fit. Why are you throwing a hissy fit declaring I'm a transphobe rather than assuming good faith? And that is an argument that is being thrown about. Now, you might say, well, this is all political. Stick with me. We're going to walk through why all this is important to mention as we dig into the articles. Being collaborative. I'm not going to read all these verbatim because I want to still try and keep the show around an hour if we can. Try to be concise. Be open, to allow open to communication. And part of this, we're going to look at the Debian social contract as well. In case of problems, being respectful. Here is the Debian social contract, which is nice and short. This one has 5 basic premises. The social contract ensures the operating system remains open and free. Okay, so that's what that whole first opening premise was about, is should we limit your use? Say you can't use this if you're a white supremacist. Well, the problem is I've never met a white supremacist, but everybody on the left declares everybody's a white supremacist, and that's a problem. We can't come to a basic understanding of the basic definition of the word white supremacist, which classically has meant somebody who is shaving their head and running around kidnapping and beating up people who have philosophical or racial differences than them. That is the definition. But to say, I'm going to use he, she pronouns respectively with a male or female anatomical appearances, that's not white supremacy. Given improvements to back the community that make the operating system possible. So giving improvements back to the community. So, okay, we've used it. I've made an improvement. That's what we do. Not hiding problems with the software or the organization. This one has been definitely trampled over. Staying focused on the users and the software that started the phenomena and making it possible for the software to be used with non-free software. So in other words, we want to have a system that's free, but we also want people to be able to use non-free. Any thoughts on the code of conduct and the social contract before we dig any deeper here?
The code of conduct, it should be related if you need to contact those guys for advice, tech support, or something like that. I think that would work out good for that situation, but it shouldn't be limited to where, let's say I download the software, I install it, and I use it to torture my neighbor. say nasty things to them on their computer.
But here's the thing.
That's where the local police should be involved, not the code of conduct.
Correct. And that's exactly right. If I download this and I use it for an illegal purpose, then sure, let the issues of that illegal purpose come back on me, for sure. That's that. Anything else about that before we jump in?
Another thing is, how are they going to enforce this? How do they presently enforce it?
Well, it would appear how they presently enforce it is they engage witch hunts against anybody who disagrees ideologically with people who don't do a lot of contribution, and they push them out of the project. That is what the evidence would suggest. And we're going to get into that evidence now.
Man.
So
time to learn Arch.
This all starts in, as my shirt says, September 2018 with the Code of Conduct issues. So the person at the center of this is Norbert Preining, and I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly. So he is the person who's developed, he was a Debian developer, which is a higher level, and then they demoted him to Debian maintainer because he was, quote, problematic. All of the problematic stuff came back to this article. This is the article that started it all. Or at least an extrapolation about something else that happened. I've written about a certain S Sharp, formerly known as Sarah, now Sage. So, of course, obviously we have some dead naming going on. And their attacks, the original article had said his or her attacks, I think her attacks, on Linus. That's Linus Torvalds, not Linus Tech Tips. As everyone knows by now, the Linux kernel team has decided to adopt a code of conduct, and without failure and accordance to expectations of many, within the shortest time, the COC was used not only the intended way to create a positive atmosphere, but to attack fellow developers, in this case, Ted So, which I don't know much about Ted So. S Sharp has decided to call him out as a rape apologist based on 2 postings to the LCA chat mailing list. And I was trying to figure out what in the world the LCA chat mailing list. I looked it up and I still don't know. If anybody can elaborate what the LCA chat list is, I'd really appreciate it. It does not appear to be anything related to computers. It appears to be related to ESG type conservation and things like that. And so what it broke down to is there was a discussion about somebody utilizing some rape statistics, and this guy saying, yeah, but those statistics have been demonstrated to possibly be overshadowed by something else. And so all of a sudden, hey, Nazi, get the Nazi out of here. And they engaged in a campaign to drive him out. Through reading his postings, I don't see any apology for rape as purported by S Sharp, but a clear statistical and legal analysis that is not the preferred style of the feminist wave. I find it disappointing that this kind of witch hunt has started, and I completely blame it on the introduction of the Code of Conduct. I've contacted the Linux Foundation to cut any ties with S Sharp because the posting alone is against the very idea of the Code of Conduct. It is an ad personam, a derogatory, and it is public harassment. I even consider it on order of borderline legality to call someone out this way. This is what it takes to get from a combination of radical feminists paired with a code of conduct in this style. And then a couple footnotes. They've been blocked. Also, he updated this post with they, their, which is the preferred pronouns for S Sharp. So that is the post that caused the initial argument that caused a demotion. And so they demoted him. And then this is a call that went out to the public Debian list to say, from Ian Jackson, saying, hey, anybody who's had bad experience with Norbert Preining, I want to know about it so we can build a case after we have already demoted him. So very regrettably, it has become necessary to produce a fuller list of incidents, including responses to justify the recent DAM decision. So the DAM decision, this is the Debian maintainer decision to demote Norbert, from being a developer to a maintainer. Please search your communication archives if you've had any adverse experience with Norbert of any kind in public or in private. Please email me, summarize the incident, then give as much detail as you like, give URLs where possible. If there's a complaint to Norbert or anybody else, say what the response was, say whether I may include your name in my collection, and use call for experience as your subject line. So he is going and saying to the whole Debian community, hey, anybody who's had a problem with this guy, I want to know about it. Let's build our witch hunt.
That's what he's doing. He's encouraging more witch hunting.
Correct. And that is exactly what happens with all these things. And then so there's all this kind of stuff. Now, of course, this did not go over entirely well. This guy writes, hi, Ian, in quoting the whole article, searching for evidence post factum to rationalize a severe punishment is just appalling. And so that is from Dana Shahan, who is couldn't remember if he was a developer or a maintainer. I can't remember. And so these are the things that's going on. So all this boils down to was simply the wrong use of a pronoun. Norbert was demoted for the wrong use of a pronoun on an issue that had nothing to do with anything in Debian. And what's happening is more and more people are being brought on to meet diversity quota, that the meritocracy is being diluted. And the problem is that we have a situation built up now where people are being brought on for their appearance or their sexual preferences rather than for their ability to write code in a world when our entire lives is dependent on the security of these systems. We cannot dilute out the meritocracy with the ideology. That is really what is going on. And I've talked a little bit too much, and I need to look ahead as to what our next couple articles are going to be. So somebody jump in and tell me something about what you think about all this.
I agree with you that it should be a meritocracy, and there shouldn't be, like, he messed up. My gosh, he used the wrong pronoun. The reaction to this is from the woke mob is ridiculous, as it always is. When you focus on diversity, and that's all well and good, perfectly fine, is how you want to run your organization. But when you put diversity ahead of meritocracy, we're going to have problems. Listen, I've seen it with Microsoft. I went back to using Microsoft for a little while. I have had more issues in Windows in the last few weeks than I've had used Windows. Mm-hmm. And I've used Windows all my life, on and off. I've used Linux a lot over these years too, but it seems to me that they're hiring for diversity over meritocracy, and I'm seeing the results of that because it's funny to me. The more talented people are the ones that are there for good reason, and they're developing programs, and they're highly skilled, and they get crapped on and demoted because they use the wrong pronoun. The project's only going to continue to suffer with that attitude. Mm-hmm. Did he apologize? All he's got to do is say, I'm sorry. My apologies. What would you like me to refer to as?
It would appear yes, because he changed the article a little bit.
He changed the article.
Yeah, they did change the article a little bit after this. There's another article that in his initial response to the code of conduct, here is this article here, Debian and the privileged gender class of some privileged people. I realized I was doing the same failure as everyone else, others attacking me being a transphobe because I criticized one trans person that is extrapolating from one bad example to a larger class. I'm sorry, and I apologize to those from the LGBTQ community in Debian that I have accused you wrongly. This does not change my critique of the Martina Ferrari. This article has been revised to make that clear. So what this is about is not an attack on or saying, oh, I hate LGBT people. This had nothing to do with that. What this had to do with is this one particular person is apparently very vehement against anybody who completely disagrees, i.e. a complete violation of the code of conduct they are trying to push forth. But this article, it says, Debian has a long history of Debian has a long history of divisiveness, but recent years have shown strong move towards inclusiveness. Introduction of code of conduct has furthered a welcoming and an open atmosphere and environment. This is very much appreciated despite some members of the Debian community abusing the code of conduct for chilling effects. Think Ian Jackson's Witch Hunt, for example, the one we just looked at. And I've warned against that many years ago. Unfortunately, it seems that welcoming atmosphere has given some members of the LGBTQ community and the Debian seemingly a free pass to insults, trolling, crap loading into whatever they seem fit as a target. Any criticism of their side is reinterpreted as transphobic and tone policing. This is a very similar situation. Some people are criticizing the state of Israel now finding themselves in a difficult situation, in particular in the U.S., with the widely followed redefinition of anti-Semitism, including any critique of the state of Israel, into the list of anti-Semitic activities. A recent thread on the Debian project gave an excellent example of the degenerated development. The starting post was polite, no personal attacks, but a statement in clear conflict with the code of conduct. Enough reasonable voices answer this email, well, until Martina Ferrari popped up and unloaded an email full of blank, genocide and Nazi quabble babble. I loaded that. I love that. Quoted in full below. By itself, one would put just this email aside as an outlier to an otherwise reasonable debate, but Ferrari is a member of the anti-harassment team, now called the community team in Debian. So this is a person on the team that declares and researchers what is hate. Well, this is... I'm sorry. I thought that was... it was down here. Oh, wait. You know what I was going to do? I forgot to include that one in the list, but this is it. All right, this is that email. Is this the email? I'm sorry, that's not the email. It's quoted at the bottom. Okay, here's the entire thing down here. And I mean, a lot of it I can't even really read because, okay, so when I refute to refer to a person XY chromosomes as she, to abuse the English language by an individual they, I'm in fact defending my worldview. You must not deprive me of that right. If your worldview is based on denying people of their identity and showing and their humanity, your worldview needs to be crushed by any means necessary before it commits genocide. That is the person on the anti-harassment team emailing him back. Sounds slightly harassing.
Yeah, I mean, it's crystal clear that person needs to be let go.
Yeah, YouTube just gave me a pop-up telling me now would be a good time to insert an ad. Wait, hold on. YouTube just gave me a pop-up saying now would be a good time to insert an ad. So head on over to shop.switchedtolinux.com. You yourself can get a RMRF No Preserve Root 2019 Code of Conduct. There, YouTube, I inserted an ad. Okay, so you can see what's going on. That the entire email by the anti-harassment team was the most harassing, abusive, and damaging thing towards a person simply saying, we need to maintain our meritocracy, and I don't really care if, who you sleep with or, what you identify as. Nobody cares. Footnote to everybody in the community. When you get into the real world, nobody cares. Okay, I don't care. Fun fact. A transgender did the music for my Christian channel because he does good work. Nobody cares who you sleep with. Nobody cares who you identify as. Only when you start injecting that into every aspect of the world do we cause problems. And now what Debian did is it cost them a long-time developer and maintainer of core packages that makes major pieces of the software work.
And now Debian is going to fall off a cliff.
Yeah, and there was one more article I forgot to include, but it was I really wish I did because I actually pulled up a reference to my one book. It was one of the articles that when the first code of conduct article first came out, and the guy's like, I want to just punch this guy just for saying that. And it was very hilarious because it was literally like the guy actually says, back in 2006, somebody called me a fag on the IRC channel and I cried for an hour. Why do you care what a random person on the internet says to you about an hour ago, you know? And so I pulled up, sorry, YouTube, we'll do another ad, YouTube. I've been through a lot of garbage in my life, okay? I've been called every name in the book. I've been abused everywhere there is. I wrote a book on it, okay? If you want to see the appropriate response to being abused and hurled insults and that kind of stuff, I wrote my book, Half My Life, about this. All right, you can find that anywhere you can buy books online. Just do Half My Life by Murawski, Murosky. And you should find it there. ourwalkinchrist.com/books. You'll find it there as well. And I have all my purchase links. So, you know, I mean, this is the response. I don't like, it's like, okay, people like sought me out to beat me up in real life. I didn't sit in the corner crying, ah, you know, but at the same token, okay, somebody calls me an insult online. You look at it and go, I really wish I could pull that up. Go ahead, Dan.
Debian ain't a simple. Debian ain't a simple bar band. They are a full-fledged foundation of many people, and I think over time this will get to the point where it gets worked out because someone will step in and say you and you out.
Yeah. So and the thing is that I don't want to say, oh, you are transgender or homosexual or whatever else, you can't be part of this. No, we're not saying that at all. We're saying, number one, you should get on the project based on your ability to write code. I got news for you. Gay people can write code. Lots of it. Trans people can write code. Lots of it. But when you start inserting the politics of your gender and whom you have sex with into the workplace of building an operating system, there's no place for it anywhere. And this is leading you to lose people who are good at the job with a lot of experience all over ideology. And that is wrong. And Debbie needs to put an end to that immediately. Just immediately.
Yeah, right. The place I used to work for, they had this thing where there was no dating hookup, no sexual anything during business hours in the building or on building property. If you're going to do that with another employee, take it home, but do not do it near our facility, or else we will have to take action.
Yeah,
and this went for everybody, not just not lesbians and gays and stuff like that, or. If it was simple man and woman thing, they're kissing in the bathroom, you got reprimanded.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's for sure. Anybody else want to jump in with anything dangerous here to say? I went through all the articles I wanted to cover, so we can go back and look at the comments coming up here as well.
Yeah, I just browsed through just briefly the other postings in the mailing list threads from 2019 that you mentioned two of them, and one of the response to Ian's call for gathering evidence, so to speak, is saying that because the quote is that it might. Ian Jackson said that it might be necessary to produce a list of incidents to justify the recent actions that they did. And one of the first response from someone was that but such things should be collected before a decision is made, not after.
Correct. Yeah.
There was an article here that the KDE maintainer was leaving because I guess he was called a Nazi or something like that.
That's Norbert. Norbert is the guy that maintained all of the KDE for Debian. So if you're using Debian with KDE, and to be clear, somebody else jumped in, a KDE developer jumped in and is going to take it over, and Norbert is helping him to transition, or them.
There is a caveat that
transition.
There's a strong caveat to this. he is not maintaining the official Debian packages. He has his own private Debian repo on his the SUSE build servers, where people can add to their resources list. And the other one is saying that he will take over, and he published the new URL. So if you are just installing a Debian, the KDE packages will work just fine, because there are more than one KDE developer in any distro.
Yeah, and he did say most of the packages he's working on do have other teams working on it. Like Cinnamon is maintained mostly by other people at this point in time. And so that is good news.
Thank goodness, because it could be way worse if it.
Yeah.
They apparently had some stuff in place well ahead of time.
Yeah. All right, let's go ahead and
good.
check in on some comments. I'm going to jump over to Odyssey first, because those comments actually have a tendency to disappear from time to time. Let's see. It looks like we still have lost some. We've actually, the newest comments I have are 15, 16 minutes old. So let's see. So if anybody sees any comments you want to specifically answer, please do so. No Jabba says, sounds like a Me Too witch hunt. That's right. We can't exist alongside these weirdos. We need parallel society. That's the thing. Yeah, we kind of need a parallel society, but at some point in time, we're going to need parallel banks. We're going to need parallel internet, because, you know, they're going to keep digging further and further and further. Like, you know, yeah. See, I understand, but that thanks to ESG, a lot of businesses are 6 feet under. Yeah, that's happening. Including another one that we use and promote quite a bit. We'll have to look into it.
We are seeing some companies rise up that are anti-woke and being either fully apolitical or taking a stand on the right wing, which I'm more leaning toward those that are apolitical and don't get involved at all. Like yourself, Tom. Like, there are some that are more right-wing focused, and there's a glorified bank or something. Now, they went out of business, but I got an email in my mail application a while back, and I don't know how recent it was. It must have been old. They may be back. I'll have to double check that. The CEO was very controversial, apparently. See, I didn't realize this. He was involved in pornography earlier in his life. But I think he had kind of moved on from that. And like he was in that industry or whatever. And it's a bank about American values, traditional American values, to appeal to the working class. And, you know, typically have to be, well, not have to be, typically are right-wing individuals that are worried about debanking and stuff. So that's their. There are also some other independent organizations, like in the comic book industry. There's a guy named Young Rippo 59 that is doing his own comic book company as well, and he's calling it the Rippaverse to compete with the multiverse of Marvel. There's so many independent projects out there, and there's ways you can take your money. Yeah, Rippaverse is awesome. Yeah. There's so many ways you don't have to spend your money with these companies if you don't politically align, talking to those that don't politically align with the left. If you do that's fine, whatever, it's your prerogative, your life. But if you don't and you want to take your money elsewhere, there are things out there in a lot of different industries, and it's constantly growing. So we're getting that parallel society because I'm seeing it happen before my very eyes.
Yeah. It's sad. Like we don't not
I had to
want
take my
to
money
have
somewhere
to have,
else.
It's going to be.
We do not want to have a parallel economy, but you're forcing it. You're forcing it by the fact that we want to talk about, if you want to talk about inclusion and diversity, you got to start at home. Yeah, and what you look through this mailing list, and I read through like 30 or 40 or 50 of these things today. Every person who is supporting this code of conduct and inclusion and diversity are the most hateful, F-bombing people out there. Every one of them. I did not see anybody, like, there's nothing in Norbert's posts that were in any way disrespectful. He's just using things like science, you know, and things like that. And that really is the problem, is that we can't come to a basic understanding. Then we got a problem in and of itself, because ultimately what happens is we have to be able to approach it with an objective reality. I was listening to a message the other day. This is so old. The gentleman had to explain who Clarence Thomas is. So the message was recorded in the 80s, and he talked about, you know, President Bush just appointed a man to the Supreme Court, a black man to the Supreme Court. And part of his Senate confirmation was that, you know, they pushed back against him because he believed in an objective reality. This is back in the 80s. All right. The thing is that one of the things he said in that message, he said, if our society cannot come together with an objective definition of our basic underpinnings of society, our entire society collapses. And that's exactly what has happened. It's exactly what has happened. We cannot come to an objective truth anymore. And because of that, it causes things to collapse. And so everything that gets touched by this ideology starts to collapse. Maybe that's part of it. Maybe some people have even suggested they're doing this to weaken it so that a big company like Microsoft can come in and save Debian. That's all we need, Microsoft to save Debian, right? So, yeah, that's that.
That's a scary thought.
RDSII64 says the bazillion Linux distros, we can do just fine if one goes the way of the dodo bird. Here's the problem. Debian is one of the core Linux distros. If this was like, you know, some small distribution that is rarely used, that's one thing. This is the distribution used on the International Space Station. We need this to work. We need a meritocracy behind it. We do not need a bunch of people going in here. Well, we looked at 15 different candidates. We only had room to bring in one. So instead of bringing in the guy with 30 years of computer programming, we decided to bring on the lady with a gender studies degree. Well, we think it's a lady. I'm not sure. It looks like a lady. Says it's a guy with a gender studies degree because it checks our diversity and inclusion box. That is the wrong way to run a software that needs to run things like, you know, the International Space Station. Okay. And that's not hateful. That's saying if you want to be the person, the transgender person who gets the job at Debian, be the best one to do coding. Because I know you can do it. It doesn't matter. Your ability to code has nothing to do with who you have sex with. It has nothing to do with what you call yourself. It has nothing to do with what you think is your own reality. But we have to have the ability to do coding. Another guy I heard... another Christian philosopher. I don't know if he's more of a philosopher. I think he's just more of a theologian. He actually talked about postmodernism. This is way back before a lot of this stuff happened. In fact, I think there was a conference from like 15 years ago. And he actually goes in and says, let's try using the postmodern reality going into the bank. Just go into the bank and say, I believe that my bank account has $1 million. So I'd like to get my, $500,000 out of my bank account, please. They're going to look at you like you're nuts. Yeah. But that's my reality. My reality is there's $1 million in my bank account.
Yeah, I identify as an account holder with $1 billion in my account.
Correct.
Please give it to me.
Yeah.
So I just did some checking. Let's say, for the sake of argument, that Debian goes away. All of Ubuntu will have everyone that is sourcing their packages from Debian will have major problems. Ubuntu, they have their own package sources, but they fetches everything from Debian, and then they have some branding on top.
More than a third of all the distros would be in deep trouble.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, Norbert switched to
every
Arch.
distribution that has the Debian package system.
So we have Arch.
There would be a ton of distros.
Yeah, we have Arch, Solus, OpenSUSE, Fedora. There's some options if Debian disappears, but man, it would not be good. It would not be good.
BSD.
So Hank says,
that'd
why
be
is
pretty
Linux
bad.
getting so much worse? Maintainers leaving, distros excluding things for licensing reasons is becoming an inferior experience at this point. I can't like any distro anymore. A lot of it, Hank, has to do with in 2018, this Marxist mindset infiltrated Linux, and people just let it in because we can't possibly be disrespectful. We need to let people in based on their meritocracy. If the person's not the best at making code, they don't need to be here.
But to be fair to the Linux and the kernel project, at the time that they implemented this code of conduct, it was as the direct result of Linus Torvalds' realization that he had some major problems with how he interacted with people, and but let me finish.
Sure.
He took a break in order to because someone has pointed out in a way that he could understand that the way that he interacted with people was problematic, and this person managed to do that in a way that he understood, and he wanted to do something about it. And at the same time, so he most likely communicated privately with the other maintainers, the core maintainers of the kernel, and they decided collectively that they should have some form of conduct code. And they grabbed this. Most likely, it was suggested by someone in good faith that this looks like. So it didn't come out of nowhere. They had a reason for implementing it.
Mm-hmm. I still wonder if that though. I still wonder if was Linus Torvalds. Was he really like, oh, I completely agree, I disagree with people? And because people don't generally do that. That's kind of not the way human nature works. I'm wondering if it was like, you're going to do this or you're going to lose everything. I don't know. I don't know. He
said publicly in several talks in his Q&A sessions that he has no problems being rude to people on email because you don't see the reaction to people. And I've seen a lot of the postings that he has sent out over the years. He could be quite rude over email. If he felt that your argument for doing something was stupid, he would call you stupid quite publicly on the mailing list. And someone told him that you probably shouldn't do that. And he has since tried to stop it, but he has stated that if he honestly feel like something is stupid, he will call it stupid, but he will be a roundabout, easier in way of saying it. He will still say it.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, okay. That's fine. I'll take that argument.
It's I'm allergic to stupidity, so I understand how he feels sometimes.
Yeah, I wonder though if is the code of conduct that they brought in, was the code of conduct that they brought in the one that they needed? Like as I said at the beginning of the show, if you tuned in late, the original Debian code of conduct that we have, I don't disagree with this at all. I think it's perfectly fine. Yeah. Now this was ratified in 2014, so we're about 10 years ago. I mean, this is out of it. The question is then it boils down to a degree of interpretation. So again, most of this all boiled down to violations of the first two portions of this. So inevitably there will be people whom you may disagree or find difficult to cooperate. Accept that, but even so, remain respectful. The problem that we have is when we have a group of militant people coming in that say, you completely want to see me dead if you call me she when I am a XX person, but I identify as a he. That is the level of absurdity we're dealing with. See, the person who is XX and identifies as a he needs to have a lot more respect from the fact that A, some people don't care what's inside of your head, and that's not an assault against you. It's just the fact that most people care more about themselves than anybody else. Number two, it boils down to they may not know that you are trans or whatever else you want to call yourself. And then it boils down to three, they may just be dealing with their entire lifetime of education. And is this Is this hateful? Is this inbred white supremacy or inbred racism or inbred transphobia? No, it's not. It's called scientific reality, actually. And the fact that if you want to go against scientific reality, you have to be a lot more respectful of the people around you who do have a degree of that. And you have to assume that they're not doing so because they want to see you dead. In other words, assume good faith. Point number 2, it's not that they want to see you dead. It's that, you know what, maybe they're just too focused on the project to consciously think, oh, this female goes by male, but this female goes by female. That's, that's the degree that we need to do. The question is, though, is how are you interpreting these 2 points in their code of conduct? Which is why I said we'll probably see a revised code of conduct. Go ahead, Mark.
If someone, I just say it like this: if someone is that unstable, they have no business whatsoever working anywhere, period. They need to be getting therapy, mental health treatment.
Well, I mean, it looks like our Jitsi call has died. So I'll go ahead and respond to what he said. I disagree that people can't be in the workplace at all if they're trans. Because, I mean, I've worked with some people who are trans that did a fine job. It's not that we have to stand there and be like, oh, you disagree with this principle. So whatever the case happens to be. And so let's see, is Jitsi going to get rejoined? Come on, reconnect. Uh-oh. Hopefully Jitsi server has not completely died. Well, I guess we'll just go back to me until this Jitsi server's back up. Come on, Jitsi. Let's go, Jitsi. Rejoin now. Okay, I'm just going to kill Jitsi and reboot Jitsi. Oh, boy. This is exciting. Every now and again. All right, let's jump back into here. I wonder if my server went kapooies. No. All right, there's that. All right, I am now moderator. Now people are coming back in. All right, we're all coming back. Make sure that all of my stuff is pulling from the right sources again. All right, I think we're back. Mark is not back. As soon as Mark goes back in, we will give him the floor again because he was interrupted. As soon as we see Mark jump back in, we'll give him the floor again because he was interrupted.
On my end.
I wonder if it was an internet issue. Nothing is showing me that it should be internet jipping, but I was getting some buffering there as well. Not sure. Battery's still good. How much time do we still have left on our battery at this rate? We've got 42%, which is about 34 minutes remaining. I did not see Mark jump back in yet. How's it going there, Ashton? Oh, you're muted, though. Inclusiveness. What were they before?
Yeah, he is always
to work. I just got it installed.
Interesting. My thing says
trying to get one.
Yeah, Ashton, my thing says you're muted, but we can hear you right now.
Yeah.
Ashton got these weird computer issues. I can't figure it out. Yeah, we were hearing you before, which was funny because the Jitsi said you were muted, but we could hear you. It was kind of weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, but now we can see you, so.
Can't stand when devs sell out. Quabble babble. That is a good word. Mark, you were saying, Mark, you were apparently Jitsi did not like what you were saying, Mark. So go ahead and complete it.
I don't think it was Jitsi. I think it's just a technical difficulty. All I was saying is that if it's like somebody mentioned in the comments, you shouldn't have to work alongside people that are an exposed nerve waiting to be offended. If you're that mentally unstable, get out. Do not come back. And you should not be working anywhere. You should be receiving. And this is the compassionate part. you should be receiving proper health care. You need to be receiving mental health care. You need to be mentally well before you enter in any environment, before any organization where you volunteer or work for a paid wage.
Mm-hmm.
You do not belong in the workplace.
Okay.
Okay.
So
you
let
do
me
not
let me
belong there.
let me respond to that because while Jitsi was rebooting, I responded to it slightly. I'm going to modify what I said slightly. So what I said earlier is, I don't believe that a trans person should be excluded from the workplace. But I right now, with you completing your thought, if it's an unstable person, if you're like a stable trans person, whatever. But if you're an unhinged person just looking for a way and a place to go off, yeah, you got postal syndrome and you shouldn't be there because you're a risk.
You need to get help.
Very interesting. Let's see. Calc agents, because those things are popular. Let's see. Chicken, stir fry, rice, corn on the cob, and pineapple for dinner. Ooh, that sounds good. Man, can I come over for dinner?
That does sound delicious.
Let's see. I had a bacon chicken ranch salad. I had a few bacon bits left, and so I was like, cook those up with some chicken and stuff. 95 podcasts,
point,
and
Tom,
only pick
I
on.
wanted to say this. That there
actually
are trans people. There are trans people and plenty of gay people. Gay's not a big deal these days. Everybody knows gay people. But there are plenty of competent transgender people and people that are LGBT that don't go around and expect you to bow down to their ideology. They're not only competent, they're very effective at work and they make good money. And they should be paid well for that, as well as anybody.
And they're also sane.
That's perfectly fine. They need to stay there and continue working. It's about unstable people, not good humans that just happen to have different ideologies.
I think a lot of it is that there's a group of people like that just like to stir the pot.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
That's their thing. They got a grudge against the world, and they're going to take it out on everybody.
Yeah, that's
if you're chill,
problem.
If you're chill, you can stay. If you're trying to start trouble, you probably shouldn't be here.
And that's the thing. Yeah. I completely disagree with saying, in anybody, in any organization. Well, okay, with the exception of maybe a deeply religious or what some other organization has some other philosophical backbone. I don't think anybody in that case, should be excluded from a particular position because of who you sleep with or whatever else. But you got to be able to be competent at your job. In other words, you don't get the position based on your identity politics. You got to be able to do the job. And you got to be focused on your job. You're not joining a workplace as an activist to try and affect change in that culture. That's what the problem is. And the people like, I don't know, I did a video on the Solace Dev not too long ago, and I forget the content of it now. Did that person end up leaving the Solace project or still there? I can't remember. Somebody here will know. I think Commodore Fan uses it. But yeah, the lead developer of the Solus is or was a transgender person, or at least transitioned well in the job. Well, that person is very competent at their job. So I don't think that they should lose the position based on any identity politics one way or the other. But to sit back and say, well, I'm going to be here just on the basis of the gender politics. That's the problem that I have an issue with.
That comes in line with in the workplace of having discrimination. It's not supposed to exist in the workplace, and if it does, it should be abruptly taken care of.
Mm-hmm. Can't be in the workplace if they're the kind of person that is walking as an exposed nerve and is looking to be offended. Okay, yeah, that's it. Come on, don't end the stream now. We're not. We're still going. Computer's holding okay. Computer's telling me we got 25 minutes left. We should be wrapping this up in like 10 minutes or so. I'm just looking over the comments. Looking fresh with the lack of beard. I got conferences starting in this week, so I decided I'd go into my conferences this week looking more professional. Last year I looked like a homeless dude, so might get more out of the conferences looking like professional. I'm even gonna pull out my like nice polo shirts and stuff.
That's a good.
Today
that's a
I
good
feel
idea.
like a slug, and I will address you so. Okay, Joseph Fry, the slug. Since you have said my pronoun is slug and slug self, I shall therefore call you slug self until you tell me otherwise. Let's see. Looks good. Crazy as in the eye of beholder. Many people here bring their politics to work with them. The actual work is way down the prior list. I had no problem firing such people in the past. Yeah. Hawaiian pizza or toast will soon be a racist slur in Germany. That's how crazy it's getting. I know. And just for the record, I know there's a lot of debate going over. Just for the record, I think pineapple on pizza is fine. I know that's going to give a certain percentage of the population automatic hatred for me. I'll probably lose some subs over that. But I might actually gain a few. You guys might be like, dude likes pineapple on his pizza. So that's the case. Hawaiian pizza, because ham is my favorite.
Oh,
I'm not a fan
Hawaiian
of pepperoni
pizza.
on my pizza.
Yeah,
I just don't like it.
Pizza.
Ham and
I've
with
never
pineapple.
tried it, but I don't really care.
All right.
Ham and pineapple. I've had it before. It's not bad. It's a little different, but like I'm a meat lovers guy, but yeah.
I'd eat the plain
Sweaty
stuff.
Zombie says, I have a gay cousin who said they don't understand why the whole gay movement is supposed to be represented by scantily clad leather bondage suits dancing around. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Most of
You know,
them are
and
not
that's the
like
thing.
that.
A lot of what's going on forcefully in public is appalling to people in the community. And that is problematic, you know.
I should probably ask my gay cousin.
But they're the ones that get the attention in the media. So that's the way, and they hijack. That's what LGBTQ, whatever letters is seen as.
I'm glad I'm not.
DT just jumped in too late. DT, this would have been a spicy one for you, but you came in late.
Because less.
Our battle is not with flesh and blood, with ideology.
Like that, extremists, but they have the loudest, most obnoxious voices. So they're the ones. There's naturally, and then everybody that's LGBTQ who is not like that, which is probably the vast majority of people in the LGBTQ community, which are fine human beings, and nothing wrong with them whatsoever, other than I don't agree with the lifestyle, but that's neither here nor there.
Mm-hmm.
It's their prerogative how they want to lead their own lives, and so long as you're not being extremist about it or shoving it down someone's throat, I got no issue.
Yeah. I thought I was canceled by Stardust, who says, you think pineapple and pizza's fine, you're wrong, evil, and canceled. But Starlight Dust did say, just kidding, I love pineapple on pizza. So there you go. There's my friend Fresh Vintage. Oh, well, I just went there, pineapple on pizza. Here come the comments. There you go. If you see color here. Right. All right, let's check in over on Odyssey. I kind of agree, I gotta say, it's kind of like, it's kind of like, I don't care what skin color you have, but if your pants are around your thighs, you're gonna be a problem, okay?
Yeah.
Challenge them to a 50-yard dash.
Check out the latest video of Mental Outlaw where he set a store page without Shopify and with open source e-commerce platform. I do that every day of my life, actually. I have a couple of my clients use Shopify, and it just makes me want to bash my head against the wall. But I'm competent in the platform. I can work with it, but it's like there's a lot of issues with it. I prefer the open source platforms for sure. Horror live stream. Okay, bye. Unsubscribe the channel. I won't take it from leftists. I won't take it from blank. Okay. I guess we're losing horror live stream because he can't drop F-bombs in the channel. So, all right, that's fine. Yeah, just remove. We just don't.
Tom,
want
I'd
F-bombs
love
in the
to
channel.
see you do.
All we want is we just don't want to see F-bombs because we do try and keep a family-friendly channel. But that's okay if you don't want to If you don't want to come around because you can't say F-bombs in my chats, that's fine.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I should just let the
Just
chat do what the chat does. Maybe I should. I don't know. What do you guys think? Should we just let the chat do what it does? At least on the alt tech platforms. I don't know. Do we have a lot of kids around here?
No, because you have absolutely not. That's your standards. You run your channel how you
stick
decide
to your
to run
guns.
your channel.
Stick to my guns.
You
All right.
want to be.
I guess I did stick to my
You
guns.
want
And
to
it did
appeal
affect
to good
serious
human
change at
beings.
Odyssey. So okay, fine.
DT just asked if pineapple pizza destroyed Debian.
Yes, pineapple pizza did destroy Debian. Somebody came in and brought in some pizza, and one of them had pineapple, and just caused the whole Debian organization just collapsed under the weight of pineapple pizza.
Mass panic.
Faisal over there on Odyssey has called me a heretic for liking pineapple on my pizza. Stexenhammer says pizza with pineapple is great. Razor Fist, if you like pineapple on pizza, I'll fight you on the side of the street. Okay, so is that proof that Razor Fist and Stexenhammer are not the same person, or is it all incognito? Pineapple with the ham is great. I'd not approve it with just pineapple. I might agree with you. Like I can't say I've ever had pizza with just pineapple, but the Hawaiian pizza, which is ham and pineapple, okay. Don't mind
I
pineapple.
usually have
pizza,
them
says
throw
Consumes.
mushrooms and green peppers on it too, one or the other.
Wait.
just get
Killer
cheese pizza.
SCV looked up Hawaiian pizza and said it was made in Canada. What?
Well, I guess you can get it with Canadian bacon.
Yeah.
Yeah, and instead
No,
of red
completely
sauce,
confused.
you have sauce.
Yeah,
So
DT was just cancelled on the. DT was just cancelled for having a pineapple pizza.
Oh, okay. All right.
So we have pizza, which is supposedly Italian, and then some Canadian people made Hawaiian pizza. What in the world?
Oh, Purple Tiger has figured out.
Yeah.
Was the Jitsi server running Debian? Yes, my Jitsi server is running on Debian. That is probably the case. Some pink hair
I literally
guy
just
did not
spun
like
up a
my Debian server.
If
All right,
you're
so,
gonna do pineapple pizza,
Hold on. Here's
pineapple
here's actually a serious question I think would be good to address. Is it all really a trans gay thing, or is it an immature woke thing of people of all stripes?
Definitely an immature woke thing.
Immature woke thing. Ashton. Anybody else have a comment?
I would agree with the woke thing as well.
Just individual. Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Ashton and
It's-
Dan Kelly by default.
It's literally just people being too much immature to accept that, people don't always, know what you decide you are.
I think I
And
would
These
agree with
people
that
Are,
on the
are agitators.
Yeah,
by
I
nature.
would agree with that because a confident person who is gay or trans, they don't really care if you're like, yeah, whatever. It kind of becomes a joke. There's him. And then the trans guy will now consciously start calling you by your opposite pronouns just for the fun of it. That's what a mature person is going to do in that situation. In fact, the one project I worked with a trans person directly with. It was our director who kept on misgendering. I never one time misgendered the person from their preferred pronouns. Believe it or not, I was the only guy in the organization that consistently did not. But it was kind of problematic. All right, I'm hitting the power button, so hopefully we don't kill the stream again.
Yeah, if your director is transgender, that's even harder.
No, our director was not transgender. But I would oftentimes be on calls with me, the director, and the transgender person, and I am the only person that consistently respected the pronouns. The director of the program kept on forgetting. And it was a leftist organization, which was really funny. The problem, this was like 5 or so years ago before this was all mainstream. And so it was weird. Like, literally, can you guys picture me working side by side a trans person in a leftist organization? I did it.
It
you
can be done.
do what you got to do. Pay the bills, man.
And the thing is that
going left.
as somebody said about John MacArthur once, wow, you're a lot nicer in person.
Preferably not. But.
Yeah, and that's almost all people are nicer in person than their public appearance.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's the case. All right, it is past 8, and I actually need to skedaddle out of my parking spot here soon. We actually have a limit to how
What
long we can stay here.
organization
So
is not left wing?
we are going to. The DistroTube was a general manager of a Papa John's pizza in a previous life. Oh, that's right, DT. Were you reincarnated, or was that just a previous job? I'm not sure. Just use names without pronouns. There you go. I've seen people that works for, and I see people that say,
I
"Well,
choose
that's
to believe the reincarnation theory.
yeah."
Why would that not work with anybody? Like, I don't care if you're transgender. What? Just like unisex names. Every name in the baby book now is unisex. There are people with boys and girls' names that are not.
I've never met a female named Frank, to be fair.
There's a female named Frank.
No, I've never met a female named Frank.
Ashton works for both boys and girls. I get a lot of people who will call me ma'am over the phone, and I just do not care.
Yeah. Matthew Moore's here. Hi, Matthew. He says, no F-bombs. I can't say flippin' French fry Franks or French's fun funnel cakes and funfetti anymore. You can say those. I mean, we just have a few things we can't say around here. We can't say, the hard ducky like F-bombs. We certainly can't say the N word with the hard G's in the middle, and we certainly cannot say the K word. K word around here is just nope. And so that's kind of the case. So all right, we are going to wrap this one up here. We'll be back tomorrow with the weekly news roundup. Hopefully, we might schedule the weekly news roundup a few minutes later than usual. My conference tomorrow, the Friday night session, goes right up until 9. I might just skip out early, or I might just start it like 15 minutes later or something. I don't know. Have not decided. I'll figure that out tomorrow, and I'll update the posts. DistroTube did confirm that yes, he was in fact reincarnated. His previous life worked at Papa John's. This life work as a YouTuber, not much of a progression. All right. What is the K word? You're not gonna bait me like that, sweaty zombie. Ashton completely lost connection. All right.
DT, better ingredients, better pizza.
Yeah, the K word. Yeah, you can't. Oh, yes. Lamar's real name is Cody, with a C. But if you spell that with a K instead, you can't say that. That'll get you banned off of YouTube.
Yeah.
All right, guys. We are going to jump off here. Thanks for watching, everybody. We will see you guys with the weekly news roundup. Stay tuned with the channel. Just to see, am I going to start this exactly at 9, or will we go like 9:15 or something? Haven't completely decided, but we'll figure that out by tomorrow afternoon. So with that, guys, thanks for watching, and we will see you all next time.
Isn't it wonderful that I have working